Volkswagen ID.3, a car that you really probably haven't heard of until very recently, especially if you're watching this channel. But Volkswagen announced that they're going to have this pretty affordable 30,000 euros car that's pretty decent. It's going to look like an e-Golf, and it's really the first car that Volkswagen is producing that's for real. It's going to have definitely an option to have over 200-mile range, and this is the part of their newly found electric future. As you know, the Volkswagen Group sister brands like Audi and Porsche are already pretty much done with their, and there's obviously e-tron on the road with their first electric cars. They're pretty decent and pretty impressive electric cars, but this one's finally from Volkswagen. I'll tell you about the specs, and they've come out, but they've been testing. I mean, these guys are pushing it pretty hard. By the way, over 20,000 reservations that people were able to make. Now, there's of course a drawback for us here in the United States. I'll tell you what that is. But also they've just really released a video, and we can see what it looks like inside for the first time. Would you like to see that? It's actually pretty cool. And I'll show you some of the camouflaged spy pictures that people have taken of it driving around town, and being prepared for they're going to start production at the end of the year, though they're going to start deliveries in the middle of next year. So I'm wondering what they're going to do. Are they going to take like half a year off? And I don't know. We'll talk about that. So let's get going right now. Taking over the world, electrifying the world, Welcome to E4Electric, your number one source of unbiased electric car news. If this is your first time here, go ahead and click on that subscribe button so that way you don't miss anything. And of course, I want to give a quick shout out to one of my newer Patreon, Ash and Hugo. Thank you so much for joining my Patreon community, supporting this independent channel. If you want to do the same, go to patreon.com/E4Electric. All right, so the pictures are originally, so like press pictures from Volkswagen, so they are camouflaged the way they want it to be camouflaged for press pictures, but there are quite a few pictures that kind of were released by people taking them as they're testing it on the street, and it looks pretty cool. So this one is by Immobile, and there's one thing that somebody noticed, that as you can see, this car looks kind of like second generation Nissan, the way they camouflage it. And I guess so. I mean, anybody who kind of knows anything about Volkswagen and Nissan and so forth will kind of know that, well, if it's a Nissan, why camouflage it? But the back is still very much of a Volkswagen car. But it's kind of funny that they decided to, like Rivian is also like putting their stuff in, I think it's a Ford or GM truck, and driving them around. So I thought it was kind of cool. So here's another picture up front with obviously Volkswagen logo being hidden as well. So you can see it's a round logo and not a Nissan logo. But all right. Here's another one by Greg Cable, sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. And so he caught this. I guess this was like parked in front of his house for some reason. And check out the guy who's driving it. I think he's more camouflaged than the car itself. He's really trying to cover up. I mean, I'm wondering if he just like decided to stop by his mom's house for lunch. He's like, look, Mom, I'm driving a brand new ID.3, right? Like all of a sudden, oh crap, there's a guy with a camera now. So he's like, I do not want to be seen. Here's another picture of the car. I think it looks pretty good. I mean, nothing wow. Like, this is definitely a new generation electric car. By the way, you can see the cables hanging out from the back. That's pretty common for prototypes when they're driving around. Tesla had it when they had these cars, especially the Model 3 in Silicon Valley. So here's another one from the side. I gotta tell you, it looks pretty good. Like, even camouflages look pretty good. Once again, the guy's like, no, don't take a picture of me. So yeah. Anyway, every time I see Volkswagen pictures, there's always something going on in their images. So I like what's happening with this car. Now, obviously, here's a problem, and I'll show you by the video of the inside. I know I promised I'll do that, but here's the problem. This car is not going to be available in the US for a while. This is why I told you the price is going to be in euros, 30,000 euros, starting from that. And it's going to have three types of batteries: 45, 58, and 77 kilowatt hour batteries, and that will convert to 185 miles all the way through 340 miles, which is pretty impressive. But we're talking about miles, though it's not going to be available in the United States, but at least so we can understand with our brains. And like, again, I said, it's kind of weird that the production will start by the end of the year, but the deliveries will be in 2020, the mid of it. So it's like 6 months of what's going on. Now, we do know that Volkswagen Group does have issues with suppliers with batteries, so maybe the production of the cars will start, but then they're going to have to kind of wait for the battery supplier to catch up. As you know, Audi already had a problem like that, and I think all of the manufacturers, including Tesla, have just a problem with getting the battery supplied. So that could be one of those things. All right, so let's get to the video. Of course, before that, a quick reminder that this video and this channel is sponsored by Byton. Check out their all-electric SUV coming to Europe and the United States, unlike the Volkswagen ID.3. So starting at only $45,000 before the incentives, but it is $0 to put down in order to reserve yours. So join myself and over 50,000 of other people who've done so. It takes about a minute of your time. So browse to the description of this video to reserve your Byton today. All right, so let's check out the video of what's it's a quick teaser, and it's all done artistically and stuff like that, and so let's check it out. So it's, I guess, there's throwing manual up in the air and all the pages are flying out like though I'm not really sure if it really is true, but check this out. Here are the insides. What I like, that knob that you saw on the display behind the wheel, as you can see that one over there, that's the one that switches from park to, that's a shifter basically. So that's kind of cool. Them showcasing their voice commands and stuff like that. They can say, oh, I'm cold, and we'll just warm up the car. And so and there were quite a few other pictures. Once again, all the papers and stuff like that they're throwing in the air. So I thought it was kind of interesting and cute. But anyway, so this video was once again posted. They've had a few teaser videos, but this time around, this is the first time we're seeing the inside. So let's look at some pictures. As you can see, this is a gear shifter. As you can see, there's a I'm assuming it's a gear shifter, by the way. Don't quote me on that, because over there you can see that this is a parking brake, right there. So I assume that it's a shifter because they also shifted in the video, but I don't quite know. If it's not, I can totally live with it, because it's an interesting new place for it to put in there. And then wheels. This is pretty common. I mean, the controls. There's nothing that big of a deal here, though. Interesting, the horn, the whole airbag cover, I thought was kind of cool. So here we see, and this obviously a demo one, because if I scroll back there, you'll see that there's kind of an autopilot deal going on the very left. And it says 50 miles an hour when it's obviously, or 50 kilometers an hour, but it obviously says 0 kilometers an hour. And on the right, as you can see, there's some sort of maybe they're going to have their own streaming service. It is all the way on the right, but maybe it's just streaming from that person's phone. So that's another thing that I've kind of noticed here. This is just a screen for climate control. As you can see, that it's set to classic, but there's also smart climate control, which I'm kind of curious to know what it's going to do. And the next slide is about this. As you can see, I think in German she said, I'm cold, and the car says, okay, I will warm up the car. I'm kind of curious why Tesla doesn't have it. I mean, this is kind of a pretty not that big of a unique of an idea. So I thought was interesting. And by the way, you know what else I've noticed out of this video? My mom was wrong. You can get a decent job with the lip ring. So there's another thing that I've learned from this video. Every time I've learned something new from Volkswagen videos. So that's pretty cool. So overall, this car is, obviously once they've announced it, they started just like beeline to their unveiling. I think it's going to be the Frankfurt Auto Show. They will unveil the entire thing, and they will go in production at the end of the year. I mean, they're a little bit late, I have to say. Volkswagen Group with Audi and Porsche, they will already have at least one decent, I shouldn't say decent, pretty good car on the market each. They have a couple of others in pipeline, where ID.3 will be kind of almost a trial for Volkswagen. It's another year until people will take deliveries. Over 20,000 reservations made. I kind of expected more, I have to say. They're trying to get to 30 before the unveiling, and I think they will. But for this kind of price, very decent range. It looks pretty decent inside. Like, what else do you want? It's a hatchback, and it looks like your regular, e-Golf or Golf, if you will. So yeah, I'm kind of surprised that not more people are. I think it's about 1,000 euros down. So there's nothing unusual about this. I would expect it more reservations, but we'll see what's going to happen with this. I'm just saying I'm excited, disappointed that they're not going to offer it for the United States. I don't know why. Again, could be limited supply. Definitely there's a demand here. I don't know if they don't want to go head to head with Tesla or whatever it is, but cautiously excited about it. Let me know what you guys think. But while you're at it, don't forget to get on our VIP list where we send a bonus story. Yes, bonus story every Saturday. So check that out. It's a second free thing that you can find in the description of this video. But let me know, what do you think about the Volkswagen ID.3? Other than that, see you next time, and remember to stay charged.